Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Creating Things Together with James and Christina. I'm James. This is Christina.
This is me.
We engage in the creative process together and we talk about it on here. We release new episodes every Monday. We also have another channel called The Reds where we release other things on other days.
That's true.
Take it away, Christina.
The Reds is our YouTube channel where we make videos about the creative process. And recently, I got back from Florida. Last week's podcast was about that. This week, we're not going to talk about ourselves because, contrary to popular belief, we're not narcissists, right? Okay. So something that gets us really excited and really is what we talk about all day long is our creative process and especially other people's creative processes. I like to dissect other people's things, you know?
Like their bodies?
Yeah, their bodies, their frogs, all sorts of dissection going on.
Well, most people don't have frogs. It's actually really hard to find people who own frogs.
Yeah, but my favorite thing to dissect is other people's creative process. So in this episode, that's what we're going to talk about. It's going to be a little bit different, but shout out to differentness. Am I right, guys? Mm-hmm. 2 claps for different. James is just smiling and nodding for all of you who are not watching the video version of this podcast. But the first...
Everybody's always told me I'm different.
That is definitely solid. That is so true.
I don't know what it means, though.
That means that you're unique. You're your own special little butterfly.
I'm still confused.
You're a freckled butterfly. You just have this stupid smile on your face.
I am a freckled butterfly.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's a new Twitter handle.
The last people we actually spoke with was our good friends, the Jerkys. They're currently traveling all 50 states of the US of A in an RV with their beautiful daughter, Evelyn. They are wonderful humans, and we often send video messages to each other, totally irrelevant. This week, I want to talk about 2 creators in specific. 1, well, I guess 3, if you think about it. I guess 4. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Did you add more after this planning meeting we had?
No, but if you think, so Sailing Lavaca Bond, they're a traveling duo, and then Front Page Tech, the whole team behind it is Jern and Bern.
Right.
Jern Persner.
So technically 4 people.
Yeah, 4 people.
2 entities, 4 people.
Yeah.
It's like the Trinity, but like a duo.
It's a quadrigity.
It's a quadrigity.
So, Sailing Lavaca Bond. James, give us a 30-second rundown on who the heck are Sailing Lavaca Bond?
So Sailing Lavaca Bond are this lovely Australian couple, Riley and Elena.
Oh my goodness.
We can't say their name normally. This is how they refer to each other in the Australian accent.
I want to talk to my Australian family to see how they pronounce Riley and Elena's name.
Yeah.
I'm going to be really embarrassed saying their name.
So whenever he's speaking to her, he goes, Elena, like that. And so whenever we mention them, we have to say it that way. Yeah. It's beautiful.
So they live on a boat.
They live on a sailboat.
What?
Their house is a catamaran.
Yeah.
It is a sizable boat. I mean, they have a lot of room to move around. Their first boat, their first Lavaca Bond, which is what they call their boat, was a mono hull.
Yeah.
Right? Much more rolly. They had a lot of issues with things falling. In this one, however,
it's more sturdy.
Everything never falls.
Right.
So
they can go upside down, God forbid, but everything stays in place.
They have 2 hulls, which allows for more stability. And
James is basically a, yacht surveyor at this point.
I mean, yeah, I'd say so. I think that if you looked at all of my certificates, it'd be somewhere in there.
Yeah, you and my father could work together and survey boats.
That'd be a bad idea.
I know.
So they are a creative couple like us. They are in the same unique boat of creating things. Oh my gosh.
I see what you did. Did you do that on purpose?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I literally had no...
Well, give me a high five.
Maybe it was subconscious because we're talking about boats.
Give me another high five.
But we haven't said boat yet. Normally it's after you say the word again, right? I didn't say boat yet.
I think you said boat. Anyway.
Maybe I did.
Give me another high five.
It's hard to not say boat in a conversation about boats.
Okay.
they're in the same boat as us. They're in the same catamaran as us. I got to start doing that. Yeah, I like that one. They're in the same catamaran as us because they are a couple who are engaging in the creative process together, and they have to deal with all the struggles of that, and then, present their creations to the world.
I bet you they're just as dysfunctional as we are.
And one of the things is what was so wonderful about them, probably not, but one of the most wonderful things is so wonderful about them is that they are very open about, if they'll mention all the time, like, we don't film if we're having an argument.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of couples are scared to say they have arguments.
Yeah. The good thing is we don't have arguments, so we don't even have to put that in.
Right. Yeah. All of our conversations are cordial and productive. So they have a creative venture that they're sharing, and it's all around them doing essentially travel vlogs on their boat as they sail around. Sometimes they hang out in the Caribbean. Sometimes they'll go to Europe. Yeah, they've gone to the Mediterranean. They have probably gone to Australia before, I would assume.
I mean, they've gone everywhere.
They've gone everywhere.
What do you mean you assume they've gone to Australia? James?
Gone back.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously they got over here somehow.
I guess that's a reasonable statement.
So Elena just had a child, so they have a new one. Mm-hmm. And
they have a new one.
They have a new one.
They have a new Lavaca Bond.
They call it their stowaway.
Yeah.
And so this has added a new dynamic to what they're up to, and that sort of brings you up to speed on what they do. Their stuff is just so freaking good.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
We want to talk about them, but I want to say something that I thought was funny in my head, and it might not be funny out loud, but if they had...
This is a think tank.
This is a think tank.
Experimental...
Just think about this.
World.
If they had their son at sea, he'd be a child of the earth, bruh. Okay, it wasn't funny. So this is what was it not funny?
I'm confused.
I thought it was funny. It's like
child of the earth.
Yeah, like okay.
If they have it on land, it's more of a child of the earth on land than it is at sea. It's like a water child? No. Like a fish child? That would be...
No, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking of like, we're just travelers. Like, we're not a citizen of any country.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so in terms of the baby's nationality,
guys, I apologize.
It would be an Earth baby.
I apologize for my jokes. I don't mean to make them.
They really don't live in a place.
Well,
kind of all over the place.
Well,
they just kind of stick to certain areas.
According to maritime law, I'm very versed in my maritime law. I believe if you have a child on a ship, the child is the nationality of either the parents or the nationality of the ship. So I don't think Lavaca Bond is actually an Australian ship. I think it's a French ship.
Is the baby French?
Le ronron.
What if you start speaking French?
Le ouin ouin. Le mama. Le booby. Okay, so the biggest thing that stands out, so I've seen their stuff in the past, right? I'm sure we've come across them over the years of us making videos.
A long time ago, I found a video of them in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that a lot.
Right. So, and I guess it was like a cheese that didn't stick. But a couple months ago, I started watching them. My first affinity for them was I'm a child of the saltwater. I grew up in South Florida. My father has done billions of things with boats at this point. He's sailed around the world. He's done a lot of stuff with boats. So I started watching and I was like, oh, boat couple. Yeah. Shout out to them. Let's check out and see what they've got going on. And
you have boats in your blood.
I have boats in my blood. I think it would be fun to get like a boat tattoo.
It's very painful. It sounds like a good thing. It's actually it's a horrible condition.
So I was drawn to them automatically. For me, they were a cheese that stuck.
Yes. Okay.
And as I was watching,
they didn't stick the first time you maybe stumbled upon them, but
yeah, but the second time I think you were like on a photo walk by yourself, and I was home alone, and I was like, oh, I'll watch these guys.
Yeah, you rediscovered them for us.
Yeah, I rediscovered them a couple months ago, and what's really interesting, and I don't want to jump too deep into the conversation, but it's not like any videos that I have been watching recently. because a lot of the videos that I watch are kind of videos that are very similar to what we're doing, very targeted videos. They're short and to the point.
Right. They're very polished and straightforward.
Yeah, but they just tell stories. And I was like, wait a second. We tell stories?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, well, and I feel like perhaps it reintroduced us to documenting, because we went way into this zone of trying to create stuff that had a specificity to it.
Well,
and
okay. Let me rant a little bit.
Okay.
This is why we did that. I'm going to kind of make your point for you. The problem with YouTube is the algorithm. And it's very tough to stand out as just a vlogger if you're not like flying across the world every 45 minutes. And it's just the internet is saturated, YouTube is saturated, the attention spans aren't necessarily there. So we, upon counsel of friends or so, started making our videos a little bit more targeted on topical content and all of that stuff. And while it's fun to make, and we never really put out videos that we're not super jazzed about, it kind of took away from the storytelling. I feel like every story that we tell is a little bit different. Whereas watching Riley and Elena, it's more, they just have one consistent story. They're sailing the world.
It's an endless story. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's been
whatever they're doing that day is their narrative.
Yeah. And I think that's what really stood out to me. And it kind of reignited not even my love for travel vlogs, because if you think about it, they're just vlogging. Yes, they're traveling, but it's not like they're going to a new country every 2 weeks. They're basically, their home right now is the Caribbean. And then their home in a year will be South Africa or something like that. So their content is less travel, in my opinion, and more adventure. And that makes me excited, because that's kind of like where we are. Except we're not living on a catamaran. We're living in an apartment.
Right.
And we have a Honda Civic that she's our boat. We should name her.
We should.
Oh, Rusty. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the things that really got me excited about watching them. And I got James on board. Pun. Get it? Boat.
Man, think about how many boat references we make on a daily basis. We don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really epic.
Yeah.
So James started watching them, and then we started to see how they're creating these videos, and even like their less polished videos from like when they first started making YouTube videos. Those are good because the story. It doesn't matter that the camera quality is a potato. It's all about the story. And that reminded me to storytell.
Well, they fundamentally break off from vloggers for me. And that is part of what makes them so interesting. It's the way that they edit their videos to be something that feels a bit more like a documentary.
Yeah.
It feels early Casey Neistat, for example.
Who's that?
He's a guy.
Okay.
And like he does drugs, so
Don't do drugs, kids.
early Casey Neistat was this really unique feeling thing, and they're in that boat too. Nowadays, Casey, I think because everybody feels like Casey, and he's fallen into some sort of groove, and it just doesn't feel the same for me. And it's no hate on him, but they have a fundamentally unique style to the way that they edit their videos and the way that they shoot their videos. And this was the first thing that attracted me to them, because they were doing travel vlogging, quote unquote. I have my quotation fingers up for everyone out there. They're doing travel vlogging without it feeling like a travel vlog. There was no formula. They had their own formula. Yeah. Their formula is their formula.
Their formula is sail around the world and don't sink your ship.
That is a good formula for not dying. But so that was it. That was the thing that attracted me to them, and the way that they do that is they leave. It's very open breathing edits.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They add in voiceovers. They do just quirky things throughout the video that are something that I've just never seen before. It's such a unique style of editing.
I feel like we maybe have seen it before, but it's been a while.
Well, okay, what I mean by that is, I'm not saying, when I say I never see it before, maybe I should restate that. It's something that you very rarely see done. And it's like they'll have these crossfades of, like, you know, Riley will be dancing while the ocean is crossfading in over as an overlay.
Usually I hate those edits.
Right.
Usually I go ugh, novice.
It's so interesting the way they do it. It feels polished and thoughtful, but also organic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's an amazing, polished and thoughtful, but organic. They let things breathe, which is something that I've been having to remind myself to do. So
many segments of the YouTube community, you're just not allowed to let things breathe. There's no breathing because everybody will leave.
Well, this
Watch
is
time, Christina. You spend too much
thing.
freaking time in your analytics, and then you get paranoid.
Get off your high horse, sir. My thing with making videos breathe is, number one, the narrative obviously has to be interesting, but I don't want to create a community of people who have the attention span of a gnat. I want to create a community of people who are creative. Oh my gosh, so many C words.
You know, another thing about them is I feel like they just serve their audience. That's all that matters to them.
Well, yes and no. I think they serve themselves. I think they make videos that they like.
No. I'm saying that when it comes to their audience, they serve the people who are loyal to them.
Oh yeah, they're not trying to do the algorithm thing, right. Which
at least outwardly, it doesn't seem as if they're too obsessed with it.
Okay, this is a theory.
Okay,
I've noticed they've been uploading more, right?
Right.
I don't want to say it because I don't want to seem like, ooh, I know what they're doing. But I wonder if that's an algorithm thing, because the algorithm likes how much you upload and all of that stuff. They used to do once a week and then maybe twice a week, and now they're doing like daily. Mm-hmm. But obviously having a baby sailing a boat, upload times kind of get a bit scattered, but their videos haven't changed. And that was really nice. Mm. The fact that they're not a family vlog.
That was a big thing we wanted to touch on.
Sailors. And they have a baby, and he's just a new character in the films.
There is a violent shift that happens in a lot of people's content whenever they pop out a baby. And sometimes it can be jarring to me. And this is as somebody who doesn't have a baby and is not interested in family vlogs. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a negative
People
thing.
Enjoy family vlogs and vlogs about babies and this sort of thing. They have their own issues. People, using their baby as a way to make them money, and it can get a little nefarious there. But
they're going to use him to sail the boat, right?
Yeah, right.
He's got to
use the baby to make money. I'm just saying the way you do it has to be tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
let's criticize family vlogs.
There's a shift that happens, and I was worried about that with them because I would relate to them less. If the shift was too violent,
you would have related to them less.
Yeah, I would have related to them.
You said you relate to them less.
No, I said I would relate to them less if it was to shift, right? So them having a baby could have legitimately made me not stop watching, and I feel bad saying that, but I see those shifts happen with certain creators. You
just watch the videos that you resonate with, and when people, it's not a bad thing. Yeah. When people move on to another stage in life, sometimes you don't move on with them, and then maybe when we have kids, we'll hop on board.
Nothing wrong with it.
Boat joke. But no, I love the way that they're just documenting.
There's no shift. They literally just added a baby to their crew.
Yeah.
It feels wonderful. It feels just the same. It's like exactly what it was, but now there's a cute thing there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like Cooper in our videos. Mm-hmm. Cooper is our dog. If you guys haven't seen our videos, I would highly suggest seeing them just to see Cooper content. Oh, that should be like a bit. But anyway, another thing that James loves about Riley and Elena is Riley's passion for his boat.
Indeed.
And I think it's so funny how we can just watch him talk about boats and knots of wind. And I understand some of it because the aforementioned, I have boats in my veins. It's quite painful. But But we can just listen to him talk about like a broken mast and like know what's going on and like what sail they're using and why they're using it. And like I said, I understand a lot of why they're using a light wind sail and blah, blah, blah. But it's really fun to kind of listen with almost no knowledge and go like, I don't know what he's talking about, but this is interesting.
This reinforces my belief.
Chart plotter? What's that?
Ooh, that sounds exciting. This reinforces my belief that the creators talking about mastery of their craft is fundamentally an interesting thing. And the reason why it reinforces it is because I know nothing about sailing. I am not planning to be a sailor.
We should go. I was just going to say, we should go sailing soon.
We should.
I think we could arrange it. My brother and I, we were talking about like doing going out to the Bahamas from Fort Lauderdale.
That'd be fun to try. I'm incredibly nervous.
I feel like you might get seasick.
Yeah, I'm very nervous about that.
The other day, I know I'm going to let you make your point. I apologize. But the other day I was on a boat and there was like 17 knots of wind in like 4-foot seas, which is in like American words.
It was like, 1,000 miles per hour?
It's like a billion miles per hour of wind. No, it's like 19 miles per hour of wind or so. Let's just round up and say 20 miles an hour of wind. And like it was super choppy and I didn't get seasick.
That's good.
I'm superior.
You're
Knock
a fish
on
person.
Wood. Knock on wood, guys. Not to toot my own horn. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So he talks about his craft.
I have no particular interest in boats and sailing, but I could listen to him talk about his love for his boat all day. He almost has like a romantic interest in his boat. It's almost to that level. It's that sort of relationship between the two. Mm-hmm. I love to watch that. I love
She's
to
got
just
some nice holes.
It's
okay. No more. Yeah. Stop it there.
He's like, when he talks about how he has to fix the engine or this, just watching him go through that. I mean, if that was the whole video, I'd be perfectly interested in that. That's so fun to me. And so that reminds me in my own content that's a strategy to pursue, is focus in on the things you're really good at and talk about that. If you don't think you have a story to tell, what are you good at? And just talk about that process. Mm-hmm. Find a good way find a unique way to build that narrative for yourself. But so that's something that I absolutely love. It's like his romance with his boat and how Elena also and these are getting into relationship dynamics, but the way that she will go inside and like make a sandwich for him while he's working really hard out there.
James is a big fan of women who make sandwiches, guys.
and listen, if that was not a dynamic that was working for them, perhaps Riley needs to step up and make his own damn sandwiches. But in this case, she seems very happy to serve him in that way. And I think that's such an interesting thing to watch as well.
Yeah.
I love their relationship dynamic. They seem to have a very healthy one.
Yeah. So one of the things that makes me think of is you, James.
Oh,
you and your beautiful green eyes.
I made you a sandwich in here. No, I make dinner sometimes.
Yeah, but that's not a sandwich. There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Make me a damn sandwich.
Yeah. Now I can't like have bread, so now I gotta make it and not eat it.
Anyway, so talking about the romance for your craft.
Life is suffering,
Yeah. So James has his own channel. It's not called The Reds. It's just called James Red, where he talks on
It's my name.
Yeah. He talks about all sorts of things. But
Alzheimer's.
One of the things would you be quiet? One of the things that he used to talk a whole lot about is photography, specifically his own personal photography journey, how he took a photo, how he unpacked he would unpack, you got to get your corners straight, guys. You got to make sure your corners are straight. The edges.
If you're going to have something poking on the left, it's a good idea to have something poking in on the right.
All right.
And if you're going to take a photo, if you're going to take a portrait of a person, you don't want a trash can coming out the back of their head in the background.
Exactly.
Bad things.
So one of our friends recently, I should look for the comment. Let's see if I can pull it up really quick.
You made a friend?
Yeah, we have a friend, just one. Her name is Jess. She says the passion when you talk about photography is really beautiful. And I think that's very similar to how Riley talks about his boat.
Just a quick quick side note to what you said, just so there's no confusion. You were saying that I used to talk about my process and that sort of thing. Now I talk about photography again. I had a little journey down into a different direction for a while, and then I realized I wanted to lean back into photography with my channel. And so now I talk about other people's photography in that same kind of detail. And that was one of the videos that Jess was referring to. Was me just breaking down, I suppose, passionately a photo from a photographer who's in Barcelona, I think. Yeah.
So the last thing of our Lavaca Bond swooning session, this whole podcast is just a little peephole, a little ear hole to what our kitchen conversations look like, but with a little bit more detail.
It's good to mention that we don't watch them apart from each other.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. Okay. We'll watch old episodes apart from each other, but new episodes, they always have to be together, which is amazing because
important to us.
The fact that James and I both work from home, we're both around each other all the time. We spend very passive time together as a couple, but it's important to spend intentional time together. So watching Riley and Elena has been the intentional time, one of the things that we do intentionally together. But one of I guess the last thing to put a bow on everything that I love about them, I wouldn't say that they're North Star for me, because that's a very big claim and for content. Yeah. And so I wouldn't say they're North Star. Like I said, it's a very big claim, but I would say they're maybe a Northeast star.
Or a star that you'll pass on the way to North Star.
I don't know what you're talking about. So I would say that they're a Northeast star in regards to the kind of content that we make, the kind of lifestyle that we want to live. I'm so down to hustle. Like, shout out to hustle culture and all of that. Work. But I think it's so important to rest. And I think a lot of people think it's important to rest, but I think it's important to take time and go on adventures and go snorkeling, go freediving, go have a trip in the desert. We're going to do that pretty soon. Just go for a work day in the desert. I think that is so important. And from at least what they share on the internet, because their life, they could be such phonies. It's not even serious, you know? But
pyramid scheme.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But I think the way that they kind of structure their life, definitely work, but they also play.
It's more of a harmonious structuring as opposed to hustle life.
Yeah. We have other friends who do that very well. And I think that balance is super inspiring. So,
and I think that's because we've been on a constant journey to find that balance for ourselves and not just lean too hardcore into work. I have learned that it's so good to work in leisurely activities.
Like the other day,
not necessarily just grind it out and make 12 videos a day, but make 2 videos that you feel really happy about making and that serve you. And there are all sorts of dynamics going on there that are important to balance. And they just have such a nice way of getting all of those plates to spin in harmony.
One of the ways that, am I sweating right now?
I don't
know. Maybe
passion.
I'm getting so hot talking about sailing Lavaca Bond. Woo!
Well, we can't have the window open because it's loud outside. We can't have a fan on podcast. We suffer for you guys, okay? Leave a flippin' review.
So an example of how I've been implementing that in my recent life is just going outside. I forgot that outside existed because winter was here, but winter is slowly leaving. And the other day we just went outside and we planned this podcast on a park bench.
We sat down on a park bench.
And we watched.
It's like it was 1940 or something, you know?
We watched a dog chase a duck.
You remember oh crap, what's his name? He's the comedian we watched the other day. The guy who used to be a writer for SNL.
Oh yeah, John Mulaney.
Yeah, he did that joke where he was like, you remember in the 40s where people would just go watch a boat leave a harbor?
Yeah, that was really funny. So
he's such a good comedian, man.
He's really good.
Good delivery.
Next.
Can I touch on one more thing?
No, I'm done talking about Riley and Elena.
Well, we missed a couple
I don't
points.
even care. I don't even care. We're done. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Carry on.
They have fantastic personalities in general that I think are quite... I aspire to be more like them in certain ways, both of them. And they handle things well. They handle...
At least on
stressful situations. Well, and even off camera, it's like, but you can see on camera, for example, there was a time where he like hit his head and almost broke his spine and died or something on the boat. They were like in the middle of the Atlantic.
Just a slight drama. Why not?
The way that they were handling that, even on camera, was very emotional, but it was very much exactly what you want it to be, where she was very distraught about the whole thing. And she was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. She was crying. He was very torn up about it. And you could see that through what they were sharing. And that's what tells me that they're sharing the authentic version of them going through this. I'm so inspired by how they handle difficult situations and how they handle, if something's wrong with the sail or something's wrong with the autopilot. Like there was one time where they were in their old ship and their autopilot died in the middle of the ocean.
Guys, if you don't know...
So they had to do rotations sailing the ship and steering the ship. And so one would sleep, the next person would drive. One would sleep, the next person would drive. And they did this until they got their autopilot fixed.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, autopilot is pretty important for... really anything.
And they just stayed so positive.
Yeah.
And they're so laid back in general.
Well, honestly, if you think about, not to toot our own horn, but like how else are you going to handle these situations? I apologize. Are you just going to be like stressed out about it? Stress isn't going to help. We just kind of laugh through. Remember that one time where...
But we do a lot of stupid things as humans.
Yeah. But remember that time that our car broke down in the middle of the desert?
Yeah.
That was like, I don't know. You just laugh through it.
You have to. Well, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
But I'm very impressed and very inspired by that. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing was how they support themselves. We didn't touch on that, and I thought that was an important thing.
But I didn't think it was that important. But since you think it's that important,
I think
free.
I think it's
entertain
relevant.
Me.
I think it's relevant because for us in our position, I think I just thought it was an intriguing part of their process, and something that when we get to the place where we want to monetize ourselves with this, because I don't know if you guys know this is all free. You didn't have to pay anything to listen to this.
Yeah, so you're freaking welcome.
Leave a flipping review.
You're so aggressive today. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Drink some water.
Peppermint water. It's really good.
So Patreon, they do stuff on Patreon. They have different tiers, and I like how they pitch it because I'm very cheap. Like I'm the kind of person that go, yeah, it's free. Thank you. Goodbye. But they're very easy-handed with it, and they're making a good point by making really good videos. So we are soon to support them on Patreon. We have to get a couple ducks in a row and figure out what the dealio is. But I'm stoked to kind of support their journey and what they're doing. And I think making good quality, authentic, inspiring content, like sometimes you have to pay for inspiration. Their inspiration comes free. So I'm grateful that I've rediscovered them and that we are, I guess, able to learn from them, like inadvertently, I guess.
We get to ride on the boat with them everywhere they go, even though they're nowhere near Salt Lake City, and they'll probably never come this direction because you can't get a sailboat here.
Yeah, but we can always go to Florida.
They could come up the Colorado River, I suppose.
I know. Just imagine like a catamaran on the Colorado River. That would be intense. Yeah. So the next creator that I want to talk about, this is the next duo. They host, what's on your finger? They host a show called, I say they. So the person that we're going to talk about is, you're killing me, James. You tell me who we're going to talk about.
Who are we going to talk about? Well, you said a duo. Oh, I get it. We're going to talk about John Posner.
John Posner from Front Page Tech and his creative partner, Brian. I don't think Brian has a last name. So full disclosure, John and Brian, even though we haven't actually met Brian in real life, John is a very good friend of ours. A very, very good friend. In fact, he's so good of a friend that we sing him happy birthday every year.
Every year. We call him.
Yep. So this is just a little hack.
Dramatic harmonies ensue.
It's intense. We don't have very many friends. We're kind of lonesome doves.
We don't like each other, so...
Well, yeah. But whenever...
Friend count 0.
Whenever it's one of our friends' birthdays, I think we're just very selective of who we surround ourselves with.
Yes, we are.
Whenever it's a friend of ours' birthday, we sing them happy birthday. We call them every single year. We will either leave a message or they will pick up if they know how to use a phone, and we will sing to them.
They don't respond in 3 weeks. We come to their house.
Yeah.
With baseball bats.
Yeah.
And we sing them happy birthday. Like we sit the bats by the door and sing them happy birthday.
Yeah.
Then we leave. We don't have a place to put the baseball bats.
Right.
And it's like you can't sing and be animated with a baseball bat in your hand. It's just aggressive.
Yeah, you'll break something.
Yeah.
So John is a good friend of ours. Brian is a internet homie. And I am super, and I don't think I've ever really told him this because I don't like to show emotion face to face. But his process behind Front Page Tech is amazing. I'm going to give, since James, for the last people, I said, James, give me a 30-second rundown, and it was 17 minutes. I'm going to give a 17-minute rundown of who John and Brian are and the Front Page Tech, the whole thing. So it's basically...
I'm going to go have some granola.
Okay, goodbye. So Front Page Tech is a tech news show, but it's not just a tech news show. It's tech news that doesn't suck. And it's all personality driven. And John is just a brilliant wizard of the internet that nobody really knows about, I don't think. Or maybe people do. He has always said, I'm going to butcher this. God, John, I hope you're not listening. He says something along the lines of people buy into personality, not... whatever else the thing that he says. What do you know what the phrase is? We listen to him a lot and he inspires us. Thank you. Goodbye.
Buy into personality.
People buy into personality, basically, not the videos. The reason that we like
it's not the subject matter, it's the personality behind it. It's more important.
Yeah.
That's sort of you guys get what we're saying.
Yeah. And John just has a great personality. He's very funny. Everybody shares tech news, right? But he gives his opinion. And it's often quite animated. There's often a duck involved. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link one of his videos below. And it'll give you an idea of this tech news show. I don't even... I like tech, but I don't get all nitty gritty.
Yeah, we don't get that excited about it.
Yeah, people will have like conversations for hours. I'm going to hop on a live stream where we'll probably talk about some level of tech. And there's usually a point where we're talking about technology that I just don't care about, and I just check out. I don't know what anybody's talking about.
Talking about like the battery on the Samsung thing, and
and
how it lasts. Like it's only got 27
minutes,
milli watts, and then you're like,
can we talk about creativity and like how we edit videos? So, but I like watching Front Page Tech and learning what's going on in the tech community through him because it's funny and it's not just like a blog post, essentially.
We watch it for him. I mean, we watch it for his quirkiness, his unique,
and also
but I will say this, I have to be very honest. He's funnier off of like outside of his shows than inside of his shows.
He's spilling the tea.
When you listen to him just have conversations in person, that's way more hilarious to me.
Yeah, but
he's perfectly funny on there, but it's just a special thing.
James doesn't like Front Page Tech. And I think so.
Sometimes there'll be certain times where he'll do something and we're like, that was so ridiculously hilarious that we can't handle it.
So since we're talking about him and his personality, I'm going to go out of order a little bit. We'll talk about his creative process in a second. I promise. Guys, hold on to your butts. We'll talk about it. Okay. Just hold on to both cheeks with one hand because you need the other hand for writing things and signing papers.
Logistically, how do you hold on to both cheeks with one hand?
You gotta spread your hand. Oh my gosh. So hold on to your butts. We'll talk about his creative process in a second. But
we're gonna talk about our first sponsor. What's happening here?
Right. We have a little bit of insider knowledge just because we're friends. He is very intelligent. He's got a great personality. He's got some cats.
Boy, did we raise him well.
Yes. But his
I was worried for a moment. You remember 11th grade?
Yeah.
And he was getting into the Molly.
Oh my gosh, James, too much. So I want to talk about his depth of like wisdom around the algorithm. He has been our little bird for a lot of things. And there's some things that he's told us that we kind of go against, that we didn't do, but we've kind of started finding ourselves falling back into in regards to like just tell the story and just be interesting. Honestly, I don't feel like James and I have a very interesting story to tell. We're just fumbling through the internet. We're just trying our best to make good, interesting stuff. And I don't feel like any of it is interesting, but it's like, you know what? This is the best I could do. So you're welcome, internet. I'm sure Riley and Elena feel the same way. I'm sure there are very boring days when you're sailing across the Atlantic where there's nothing to do, but they still create content. And I feel like we are the same. We just like, what is interesting about us? I'll tell you what's interesting. We've got each other, and that's all we need. But he's basically told us.
Is that it?
That's all that's interesting. He's told us like our story is interesting and we just need to tell it.
He said we're the only, quote, vloggers that he watches.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. That's always been.
You're welcome.
He just, whenever we talk on the phone, we'll talk for, a couple hours at a time.
He just makes me feel so good.
Well, yeah, he's very kind. He's an incredibly kind person. And he's an incredibly authentic person. But he, I just had the realization that he might actually listen to this right now, and that just shifted my brain in a weird way.
Let's start talking bad
I'm so
about
used
him.
to just like we're talking here, and
James, there's so many people
the
that
mics. We just have to make sure that we talk to the mics properly, and then the podcast turns out good. But I forget that he's gonna watch this and he's gonna hear me saying these things.
Well,
just odd.
Can we just say that I'm just gonna go ahead and point it out because you don't look at the analytics. There are a lot of people that listen to this, so. Hold on to your butts.
Tens.
Twos of people. Okay, so what were you saying?
We have 2 very good recall, Christina. That was great. And you said, what were you saying? So you allowed me to finish my statement.
That was...
I'm sure it was selfishly motivated, but
that was shut
great.
Up and get to the point. Oh my gosh, we're professional podcasters, guys.
We'll have these 2-hour-long conversations... And
that's modest. It's usually like 6 hours and we're like going to bed at 3 a.m.
And he's just given us little snippets of wisdom that he's learned along the way. And one of my favorite thing that he said is that YouTube wants you to serve your followers first. Mm-hmm. That they want you to take care of your followers, and that's how your channel is going to better grow, as opposed to trying to create all of your content for everybody. Maybe I'm getting this wrong, John. I apologize, but it's
you want to serve the algorithm first.
What I took away from it was if you treat your followers well, they will flock to your video. The algorithm will enjoy that, and that will help you. That will help you build your following and create more loyal people.
Could you imagine a world where the algorithm really wants you just to make videos that make you happy and make your followers happy, and then the algorithm will then bless you? What kind of world is that? What kind of world would that be?
It's kind of the world we live in, I think, right?
Oh my gosh. This is an epiphany.
It is great.
So let's talk about the whole process behind Front Page Tech. You know what Front Page Tech is? It's a tech news show that doesn't suck. Which is, I think, trademarked by them. So please don't sue me.
We're sued.
Yeah, crap.
Yeah, it's over.
But the way they make their videos, polar opposite of what we're doing. Very much polar opposite.
How so?
They have a formula. Our videos are just...
It's the same thing over and over.
Yes.
They've honed a system for sharing their videos and making it a very efficient shooting and sharing process. And maybe they don't feel that way sometimes because they're in the midst of it, but from what I understand, there's definitely it doesn't take them too long to edit. Everything's very concise.
He told me their editing time, and I was like, oh my gosh, what What a dream.
Yeah.
And I think obviously you have to have somewhat of a formula. This is not a negative thing by any means. You have to have a formula when you're creating at least 5 videos a week. Because then could you imagine if we were putting out 5 videos a week? Like hashtag goals, but holy hell, that'd be a lot of freaking editing. But I love just how he goes about it, how he thinks about the videos. He's just sharing his opinion.
Right.
Nobody else's opinion matters because they have their own channels. They have their own videos. He's not showing reviews. One of
the things that you said the other day when we were planning this, yesterday, actually, we were planning this, is you mentioned that he just has a clarity about him.
Oh my gosh.
He is very clear on what he's trying to do.
At least it seems that way.
And that can be hard to find.
Yes. That he's found a niche of people. He's found his own set of weirdos on the internet that they flock to him, like the
and
duck.
leave him comments that frustrate him endlessly.
Yeah, and that's really what the goal is, to find people.
That's what you want.
To find followers that irritate you tremendously. And that's what all of you guys are for us. We hate each and every one.
And that's exactly what we've wanted from the beginning.
Thank you.
It's
Goodbye.
a dream.
No, but his process behind it and how he kind of trusts his editor, Brian, completely with everything. And it's just like...
And they're relationally close-knit. They've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, they've known each other since the womb. That's not true. But...
their moms were like back to like across from each other. So one's on the left, one's on the right. They both popped out at the same time. They're like... And then they like the doctors introduced them to each other and they fist bumped.
Yeah. What's up, bro? You want to have a YouTube channel in like 16 years?
Yeah, sure. I'll get to learning Premiere. What? I don't know what you use, but
I think they use Premiere because they're real creatives.
I am just so...
Hold on. Let me backtrack that statement. Okay, go ahead.
What just happened?
I said something very opinionated and I just don't want to hear about it. So
I'm so fascinated with channels who are able to systematize a specific type of content well. And that when I spend all my time trying to figure out how to do that better. And so it's always cool to see that. And it seems like their sharing system is just
so good.
Kind of spotless, but I'm sure they have their struggles.
For me, I don't think that our content personally, I don't think I could have the attention span to do something so systematic. I think that there needs to be a little bit more of a system for what we're doing, and we're always creating that and dissecting other people's process and like how we can apply it to our process.
That's an interesting thing.
But I wouldn't want to be like a talking head, like, this is the news. This is the creative news. I created this new key command, and it's for synchronization, and it's Alt-S, and it synchronizes the audio so hard that you don't even know what happened.
That's a Premiere hack, by the way, guys.
Guys, make your own freaking key
S
commands.
to synchronize your audio.
No. I think they have to customize it.
You have to customize it, right? You have to add the...
You don't want to
You have to add the key command in your keyboard settings.
You don't want to do Command S because then it's saving it. We should release like custom key command packs.
Oh my gosh.
But we can't do that because...
Bougie.
Well, Sarah's already done it. We can't remake the videos that our friends have already made. You were going to say something that was interesting, and I cut you off, and I apologize for that. And I'm just buying you time while you think about what the interesting thing that you were going to say was. Have you thought about it yet?
I did want to say one more thing, because you said he stays in his niche lane in our notes. Okay. And you didn't say that specifically. I thought that was really interesting.
Guys, we don't have notes. All of this is just off the cuff.
A lot of creators struggle with following trends. They follow this thing for a little bit, and then they get a little bit bored with it, and they follow this thing. He has a niche, and he aligns with it faithfully. And I think that is, from what I've learned, that's how you win. The way that you win long term. Mm-hmm. But what I was going to say was that where I'm trying to really carve out a very thin lane for myself, you want a lane that you can swerve in. Dude,
I want to do so many different
different stuff.
But I want art. So here's an example. Let's just go back to sailing Lavaca Bond since we're talking about them.
I can show you the world.
What? I want to sing that. Okay, cool. We should... Disney songs. We should have a Disney episode where we just like jam out to like Disney songs.
The whole podcast, an hour of us just like, okay, what do we do next? Let's see, Aladdin.
The bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries.
Little Mermaid, man, under the sea. That's gonna be a rowdy time.
Bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities.
I can show you the world. Shining, shimmering, splendid.
Guys, if you're listening this far into it, I apologize.
Where did you then let your heart decide? I can open your eyes.
Okay, I think we're done with this.
Take you moment by moment.
Wonder by Wonder.
Is that Wonder? I don't know.
Okay.
A whole new, don't you dare close your eyes.
I just turned James's mic down because he was going too far with it.
What just happened?
Say that again.
I got lost.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I blacked out.
Welcome back. So he stays in.
What year is it?
What were we talking about? The fact that he stays in his niche lane. So for us, what I don't say struggle with, but I want my niche lane to be a bit wider, but I want the niche. So you can drive
your struggle bus on the niche lane.
Shut up. So I want our niche to be more personality driven, essentially. It's just a vlog.
What does that mean?
We've tried.
Everything is
right.
personally.
So we've tried to make it not a vlog. We've tried to make the topical tutorial kind of videos. Number one, I'm just not interested in making those. And number two, I like to just adventure and travel with you. And what we're doing is just sharing our process of what it's like to be two young lovers who fumble around on the internet.
Full of passion for one another.
Full of passion. Yeah.
Our loins are on fire.
It burns.
It's painful.
Yeah. Let's just say, and I'm not going to say that.
Magic carpet rides.
Stop it. That was too far. You realize that?
Magic carpet.
Stop it. You are done. It is time for you to leave. Goodness. Okay. So we're two young, wholesome creators who are just trying to make their way on the internet and make a living through freelancing and traveling and adventuring and really just living a lifestyle that makes us happy. And you know what? I've come to terms, and John has explained that to us, and I've tried to push against it. And once again, John Prosser was right. Just be yourself on the internet and don't try to do what other people's channels are doing. Just do what's authentic to you, and hopefully at least 3 people will watch.
My argument to you within this frustrating situation that we've faced over time is always been I feel like we have not, whenever we feel as if we are not as successful as we want to be, we haven't done a specific thing that we are passionate about enough.
Yeah, we just kind of waver, but we need to find the thing that we are passionate.
We'll do a thing, and then we'll go over here and do another thing, and then we'll do another thing.
My point is, so you need to do that. Mm-hmm. It's important to kind of waver, and then it's important to waver because then you find the things that you like to do.
No, that's fine.
So so exploring in a physical sense and an emotional sense is very important.
This is what I'm saying.
What are you saying, James?
Let's say this podcast. This podcast is a fantastic example because I think we have our crap together with this podcast more than we have it together with anything else we're doing.
We've been making YouTube videos for like 5 years. We make like 10 episodes of a podcast and we've just got it nailed.
It's so concise and we know exactly what we're trying to do with this, right?
What are we trying to do with it?
I don't know, but but with our just imagine if we had the conciseness that we have with this at the beginning of our first channel, and if we were doing that faithfully all the way through until now,
faithfully,
we would have
at least 6 people,
at least 64 subscribers. Hold
on. So
what
have you? This is total side note. Okay. Did you ever watch 64 Zoolaine? 64.
No, I watched it with you the other day. Somehow you knew about this British show. How did you watch this?
On the TV.
I know, but would you watch it at your mom's house, your dad's house? Your dad's from England, so of course he would show you that in Teletubbies. But
Teletubbies?
Yeah, it's made by English people, I think.
Dude, that is a freaking acid trip.
Yeah.
That show is not okay for
That
kids
show's
to watch.
crazy. I don't know what the moral of the show was.
Acid.
That is one. Yeah.
Just lots of acid.
Just altered states of consciousness.
Yeah. The baby was a son.
I remember the pink goo stuff that they would like.
I hated that show.
It was like
That show was
out
like
of a tube.
Kinky. But this podcast actually has gone a very...
That show was so bright that it was depressing. Like it had this darkness to it.
Yeah. Those kids were like
when you see like depictions of heavenly places and they're just so they're trying to be so paradise so much that it's almost weird and
I bet you
wrong.
if you play Teletubbies backwards, it's like satanic chants. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead with your thought.
There's probably some like creepy pastas about
Creepy
Teletubbies.
pasta?
You ever heard that?
Creepy pasta sounds funny.
It's a great name for a thing, but it's a place where like urban legends are and like there's one about SpongeBob that Squidward hung himself in one of the episodes or something like that.
Sad.
Like it's like really dark stuff. If you read a creepypasta at 9 p.m., you would not sleep for 4 weeks.
No,
because I know how your imagination works.
I don't like to have bad dreams, and I don't like creepypastas. I don't even know what one is, but I don't like them.
Like creepypastas have scared me more than horror movies because I've read a couple.
So you have to read them with your eyes?
They're fun. They're like, it's like a morbid curiosity.
Do you have to like read them like with your eyeballs, or do you like, does people tell them? Do people tell them? Yeah.
You have to read them with your eyes. That's the most millennial thing I've ever heard you say in my life.
Or is there a video?
Do you read it like with your eyes?
Or is there like a podcast on it?
Or who's narrating it? Like,
okay, so you were saying something about 64 different directions, and I started talking about 64 Zoo Lane.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead.
I forget. Oh, I was just going to say that if we had the conciseness that we had for this podcast at the beginning of our first channel, we no doubt we would be in a much better place.
Yeah,
but
John's a good example of that because he's been doing this.
We were wishy-washy the whole time.
Oh yeah,
we were just doing stuff, and it was like, but we were having fun, and we were really dedicated to it. But I can see now how we didn't have a cohesive vision. And
well, John's a good example of that because he's been doing the same thing, and his channel really didn't pop off until I think last year.
John is so inspiring because he is actually an example of organic growth on YouTube. A lot of people that you hear about getting big on YouTube, it can be discouraging because they're like, they got a shout out from this, Sarah got a shout out from Casey. She worked really hard, awesome stuff. And there's a lot of wonderful things about her story, but she got a shout out from Casey. So you go, I don't have a shout out from Casey.
John got a shout out from all those news places that spelt his name wrong.
Right. Well, yeah. But, so with John, it really feels like his progression was like it actually took some real time for him to grow to where he is now, but he stuck with it. He was faithful
as frustrating
to the end.
Whoa. So as frustrating as I think our journey has been and probably will be, I think it is actually super important to have had those experiences of doing vlogs and not really liking vlogs and wanting to do maybe more topical stuff and then not liking that. And now what we're doing is kind of a more mishmashed of storytelling and topical. And I think, 6 months from now, we'll probably be doing something else and never be successful. And that's just kind of the reality of the fact. But you know what? We're enjoying it, and creativity is fun. High five. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about the squad that we like? No.
I'm just so thankful that I have the opportunity in this day and age. I thank God for things, Christina. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You knew that, right?
I think so.
So I thank God for things. I mean, it would make sense that you knew that.
What is your point?
We do talk about God. So I thank God for things, and one of the things I thank Him about is the internet and the fact that I have these resources to learn. I would have had to go to the Salt Lake City Library.
God, and read.
That's something. I gotta have to look through books and then
nauseating to think about.
Be taught by the system, and like people are like, the Earth is round, and it's just amazing that I can now know that the Earth is in fact
flat.
It's like a triangle.
Yeah. We're at the tip of it. It's a pyramid scheme, really.
I'm just so I feel so blessed. I feel so grateful that I can watch Riley and Elena on their boat in the Caribbean from Salt Lake City and learn from them by merely interacting with their life, right? Whatever they're showing us in their life. I can learn from, we could talk to John, and he's in, where's he live? I don't know. It's like Canada. And
Ohio,
we can
but
have
it's the
conversation. Yeah, it's basically, we can have conversations with him and learn from him, and we can watch his show and for free. And it's just open information everywhere. And there's so much good stuff about that.
Yeah. I think
I'm definitely smarter because of that.
Yeah, I think the internet has 10 out of 10 changed our life. We wouldn't have even had a life if there wasn't the internet.
Do you remember before the internet, when
Encyclopedias?
like the whole 50 years for us before it got invented? It was dull.
Yeah, no life.
Like
it's like
farming.
The worst. Farming in 1994.
Peasantry.
So this podcast was really fun for me to talk about.
Good.
It's fun to not focus so inwardly and focus a little bit outwardly and dissect some of the creative, just dig in a little bit deeper. Guys, just take a shovel and dig into your own creativity.
Body.
And what? So yeah, this episode was fun. This one was to prime your palate. Get your saliva all saliva-y, because this podcast is not just about us. I want to have our friends on. Yes. We're going to be speaking to some friends very soon about their creative process. Of course, we'll speak about ours and the things that we're learning and the things that we're struggling with. That's never going to change. But I'm excited to have some friends on. Maybe we'll have John on. Maybe we'll have Riley and Elena on. Who knows? Because the internet has no boundaries, right? The internet is an incredible place. And I'm stoked to share more about our creativity, other people's creativity, all in an effort to help you with your creativity. Creative process.
There's just so much opportunity on this big triangle we live on.
Yeah, right? And also, if you guys have listened this far into the podcast, God bless you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this with your friends. I don't even know if you shared it with your friends, but totally share it with your friends.
You did, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
That's why we hacked your accounts.
You're welcome. So yeah.
You ever heard of cookies?
Yeah. I like cookies.
We cookied you. You've been cookied.
Chocolate chip. So like I said, appreciate you guys so much. If you've listened to this far, you have either number one, fast forwarded it because we were rambling about something
for some reason.
Yep. And then number two,
I just love their endings.
You probably enjoyed listening to us ramble on about creativity. So, as James mentioned in the beginning of the episode, you can always subscribe to whatever podcast platform you're currently listening to this podcast on right now. We are on all of them.
If you're scared of only audio,
we have a video version.
We have the video version.
Yep. But yeah, so feel free to subscribe. And if you want to go the extra mile and leave us a rate and review, that would be greatly appreciated. We appreciate the people who have already done that. We've got 5 stars, so at least a couple people like us.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We got to have 4, though. 4 is when you made it.
Yeah, that's when it's like slightly critiqued, but it's like a thoughtful.
4 is when people care.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to this. James, do you have any nugget of wisdom that you want to leave them on?
Just go check these people out. And be intentional about paying attention to what they do that makes them successful and interesting to you, more importantly, because there are things that make up what is so interesting about them. And it's not happenstance that they are interesting. There's something that's happening there. And you can study that and apply it to your own content. And perhaps, who knows?
All right. Not me. So yeah, we'll leave a link to them in the show notes below. Guys, stay curious, keep creating, do so many things at once to push yourself to focus on one thing. And maybe that one thing will end up being your living. Who knows?
Ooh.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I feel like I've ended this 3 freaking times. Goodbye.
Well said, Christina. Goodbye.